In the August 2021 issue of American Rifleman, Jason Ouimet, the executive director of the NRA's Institute for Legislative Action, laid out the current threat or threats to your Second Amendment rights in an article entitled "The Truth About Gun Control Exposed." In a clear, unsubtle style, Mr. Ouimet purges the obvious and states, in a very lucid fashion, that the glitterati and leftist political figureheads who bemoan your gun ownership are themselves better protected than you or I, with armed men to protect them. Ouimet wrote, "There is a central hypocrisy at the heart of the gun control effort. Gun control politicians, Hollywood elites, and billionaire tycoons are advocating the disarming of ordinary Americans, all the while enjoying the security that armed men with guns provide." I paraphrase. You as an American citizen ought to be furious when Mr. Ouimet's next statement truly hits home. His comment about a gun incident in 2018 involving none other than Hunter Biden, the Democratic president's son, was possibly involved in a federal gun violation. We're still waiting for a good explanation for that one. But the reality of the situation involving Biden's son is clear, according to Mr. Ouimet. Gun laws are only for commoners. The peons of society, as it were, the groundlings such as you and I, can fend for ourselves against criminals and thugs and a potentially tyrannical government if it ever came to that. Those Hollywood types and politicians, in the vein of the Politburo or CCP, will have their protection. You and I, the common man and woman, the ones the Second Amendment was written for, will not. So what was Hunter Biden actually guilty of? His girlfriend and previous wife of his late brother, Beau, found a handgun in his vehicle and disposed of it in a local supermarket dumpster. Irresponsible enough for you? It gets better. After she told the supermarket manager what happened, he called the local police, and even the FBI put their eyes on the case for a while. Though at face value the gun was purchased legally from a licensed dealer, the associated ATF Form 4473 asks several questions that, for you and I in a similar transaction, would have been very damning and a total deal breaker. In short, the form asks if you, as the purchaser of a firearm, were an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana, depressants, stimulants, narcotics, or any other controlled substance. Biden was, but lied on the form that he wasn't. A false representation on this form is a ticket to Club Fed for up to 10 years. Hunter Biden, in an autobiography entitled Beautiful Things, admitted, and I quote, "If I rested too long between hits on a pipe, I'd be thrown into a panic. I was so lost in my addiction." Clearly, in his own words, that firearm was not to be in Hunter Biden's possession as per federal law. Was the recall of his addiction true? He was, after all, discharged from the Navy for drug abuse. That is a fact. And one would easily imagine that if you or I were to join the military, abuse drugs while there, get discharged under other than honorable conditions, lie on a federal form for a firearms purchase, well, we could, all of us commoners, expect the FBI and Department of Justice to take more than just a lukewarm approach to the issue. Some of us would be serving that 10-year federal sentence. It's good to be the king, isn't it? Or, in this case, the king's son. Of the innocent cause of it all, the .38 revolver that got thrown into the trash, it was found by a guy looking for aluminum cans and turned over to the authorities. But what if some kid had found it, or some criminal? Well, let that sink in. Later investigation by the Secret Service involved not so much investigation into potential illegal actions by Hunter Biden, but rather asking the firearms dealer who sold the gun to Biden to turn over the Form 4473. But the gun store owner refused to comply, suspecting that they were attempting to shield Biden from charges and prosecution, had the weapon been used in a crime. This research into the affair was done by Politico, the investigative political fact-checking media. The New York Post obtained these facts regarding the Secret Service's involvement through text messages. Remember that? The story that came about 3 months before the 2020 presidential election. That one that forced Twitter to ban the New York Post from its pages out of fear it would expose the Biden family as the dark political schemers and power trippers they really are. During his confirmation hearing, the ATF nominee and Biden comrade, some might say stooge, David Chipman was strongly questioned by Senators Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson about the Hunter Biden gun incident, and whether he would pursue investigation, to which Chipman continuously dodged the very pointed question, which was only asked in the interest of fairness to we Americans, the common men and women, and our right to the same Second Amendment protections as the current president's son. Our rights as citizens to be treated fairly by the FBI, Secret Service, or any other government agency, rather than become victims of a leftist weaponized government agency when Hunter Biden walks free. In summary, Mr. Ouimet of the NRA states clearly that the conceited, disdainful anti-gun leftists like Joe Biden and the self-appointed Hollywood elitists who think 330 million Americans are too irresponsible to own firearms are comfortable knowing they are safe, guarded by security agents who carry those same weapons. The weapons they want you and I stripped of. This has been Freedom's Herald, a voice of reason in an increasingly unreasonable world. Continue to listen to Resilience Talk Network for the Dispatch and Freedom's Herald, and like the Dispatch and Freedom's Herald on Facebook. Technical support for this program has been provided by Brad Neufeld. I'm Tom Gandley.